Good afternoon, everyone. This is Yankee Rider here, and today I'm going to be making a quick video on the Strapcode Super Oyster bracelet. So, recently I got this PADI Turtle, and it's a great little watch. I'll be doing a review on it in the near future. But the bracelet it comes with seems to be modeled after a traditional Omega oyster for a Speedmaster, and it's certainly heavy and it has some nice flex to it, but it feels solid, and it's got the typical Seiko stamped clasp, which I don't have a problem with. I don't mind the stamped clasps. I don't really think that they are cheap, and I actually regularly wear other Seikos, including this monster on the stock bracelet, and I absolutely love it. I have no problem with it. But this one, I don't know if it's because of the Omega style polish or because of how big the turtle is, but it feels really fat, and I don't like the taper on it. The diver's extension being separate kind of adds to the size of the clasp, so it can't really flex if you look this way very much. So there's only so much taper or flex it has in both directions. And so I said, well, I'm going to get a Strapcode Super Oyster. I've heard a lot about them, and I've been wanting to try them, especially with the Ratcheting Divers Clasp. Random Rob, a good friend of mine on YouTube, he has a Ratcheting Divers Extension Clasp for his Omega stock one, which is obviously considerably nicer than this, but I figured I'd give it a shot. So we'll take it out and see how it comes from the factory. I ordered it, and it is around the holidays right now, so it took a little while, but I'd say with the stock shipping it took about probably a week to come. It's got these little rubber things on the end links, which does not help with the packaging coming out. But as you can see, it comes typically packaged. I'm going to take the packaging off and get back to you, but one thing I do want to note is when I first got it, I thought these larger pushers were to open the clasp, but they're not. The smaller ones are to open the clasp. So it's an interesting thing right from the get-go that the prominent pushers are to adjust the ratchet, which is kind of nice because if you're underwater and you wanted to adjust it, it's nice if you have the prominent ones be the ones for the clasp and the smaller ones be to open it. So I'm going to unwrap it and then we'll get right back to you. So we're back. Initial impressions are that this is it's a pretty solid option for a Jubilee. I like, just for its perspective, I like the stock Jubilee on the SKX. It is light and tinny, but it's really comfortable. And so that's why I decided to go with a Jubilee instead of an Oyster. I have a Super Oyster from Strapcode, and I don't mind it, but it tends to grab a little bit of my hair and gets dirty really easy. So one thing I think that they did a lot better with this one is it seems like it's a lot finer in between the spaces. It has some pretty solid flex, so you're going to have some reasonable degree of comfort. It's extremely flexible in the bracelet itself, which that means that it'll conform to pretty much everybody's wrist, which is nice. Doesn't really make a lot of noise, which is a big improvement for a lot of people over the stock Seiko. The stock Seiko is kind of rattly. It has some really nice, let's see if I can get the focus here, some really nice perlage on the inside of the clasp, and the clasp is machined. And the big part that I was curious about is how good is the diver's extension, the ratcheting extension. So it's pretty solid. It's a little stiff. I don't know if that probably will change as the watch breaks in, but you push these and pull and the extension comes out, and then you don't have to do anything to adjust it. It's a ratcheting extension, so it'll just come back in. So you can just drop it all the way out, put it on, and then ratchet it down to whatever's comfortable, or if you're wearing a wetsuit, ratchet it down over your wetsuit. I know that it's not really popular right now, especially with a more Omega style of clasp to have a safety catch, but I really do like having a safety catch, so one thing I wish I could see on this would be a safety catch. Another downside, I think, is this is a really thick clasp, both to accommodate the machining and the ratcheting mechanism. The one upside to a stamped clasp is it's much thinner, and the ratcheting mechanism obviously takes up a lot of space. So that is one major downside to me, is I don't really have very large wrists. I have about 6 3/4, between 6 3/4 and 7-inch wrists. So I just don't prefer having a thick clasp on the underside of my wrist banging against the table, especially since I'm at a desk a lot when I'm not outside. So I'm going to go ahead and size it and mount it up on the turtle, and then we'll take a look at it for some final thoughts. Alright, so we have our newly installed Strapcode Super Oyster. I'll just try and do some detailed shots really quick. Let's see if I can zoom in. Apologize for the focus. Let's see here. There we go. So as you can see, it fits pretty well to the case. There's not a lot of wiggle. So I'd say it's a pretty solid win. It's pretty close to the exact width. I mean, for an aftermarket bracelet, that's not bad. I'm not going to complain too much. Some people might not like that. The bracelet is fixed in the two center lugs, which is nice because that means that you get a lot of flexibility on the wrist when you first put it on. I neglected to mention it earlier, but of course they are, like almost all Strapcode, screwed single-sided. So this side is nothing but just a machine surface on the inside, and this side is the side that takes the screws. I adjust mine just using a simple Swiss Army knife screwdriver. It goes in the corkscrew. That way, if they come loose during the day, I can just pull it out and tighten it. Because, as I've noticed with other Strapcode bracelets, screwed bracelets can definitely come loose, especially if you do a lot of construction, using sawzalls and stuff like that. I've had them come almost all the way out before. Fortunately, for that part of it, they don't come out very easily all the way. Unfortunately, that means sometimes when you're trying to size it, as I did in this case, you have to use needle nose pliers to pull them out. But one thing to note is, I just mentioned I have between a 6 3/4 and 7-inch wrist, and I like my bracelets fairly tight. But I had to take out all of the spare links, so there's no longer any adjustment. There we go. No longer any adjustment in this bracelet except for the micro adjustment. So that's one thing to note. If you have a smaller than 6 3/4 inch wrist and you like yours snug on the wrist, then you're probably not going to like this bracelet because it won't fit very well. So I took out 8 links total. So it's quite a large bracelet to begin with. You could probably get, I don't know, each 4 links is probably about 1 inch, so you could probably get another close to an 8-inch wrist on this, 8 to 9-inch wrist. Each piece of the link is individually flexible, which is excellent. Means it's high quality, but it also means it's kind of a pain to adjust because you have to line all these up in your hand while you're inserting the screw. Show a quick shot of the screw. Here's a quick shot of the screw from the factory. They come with some blue Loctite on them, which is excellent. The first bracelet I got from them, the Super Oyster, did not come with blue Loctite from the factory. As you can see on my hands, it doesn't look like they do a terribly good job cleaning them from the factory because there's machining oil and debris inside the watch, inside the channels of the bracelet. When you take the screws out, you get your hands all nice and dirty a little bit. A couple other things to note is let's see if I can show you, it's already on, but the machining quality, wait for this to focus, there we go. The machining quality is fine for all the exterior surfaces, but you can definitely tell that there's some budget cutting here between, I'll pop it off real quick, between the bracelet end link and the head of the watch, that space, the machining is not impressive at all. Which, I mean, considering that when you buy a screwed link ratcheting clasp from a manufacturer, you're going to be paying probably double or triple this. I think it was $130. That's kind of understandable. As you can see, the quality is great on all of the surfaces it show, but the machining is definitely rough on the inside. So that's something to keep in mind if you are someone that's a perfectionist as far as that. This is not an uneven machining right here. That's just the milled surface of the top being shown. So yeah, otherwise this is an excellent, I think it's an excellent option. I think it looks really great on the PADI. It's very comfortable. The ratchet works pretty well, about as well as I expect for a budget ratcheting clasp. So yeah, that's all I've got. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thanks, guys. Bye.